Hello, everybody. It's Dominica, your girl again. Welcome to my podcast, The Unleashed. Thank you for watching, every one of you. The one who have not watched, I'm watching you. I'm coming to make you watch it, download. So today, I have my very good friend. I told people I'm excited about him. They made my law school very fun. All of them. I'm going to give a thank you, first of all, to him. It's Anthony Azuwike. He's a Reverend Father and a lecturer. He's one of the people that made my stay at law school very, very welcoming. Him and a few others. Whatever I wanted, they were there for me. They made it so, I don't know how to say thank you enough. Him and my friend in Cecilia and my Cameroonian friends. I don't think I can mention all of you on this podcast. Thank you so much, Anthony. Welcome to the show, Anthony.
Thank you. Thank you, D.
Good to have you because I know people want to hear just changing career, moving away from America and coming to Nigeria. But first, I want to tell you my funny story about Nigeria, and maybe you can tell me yours.
Okay.
And so when I arrived in 2017, we were trying to see whether I should stay at, Bar One. You know how Bar One
Hmm.
was, right? And it was a
Yes.
new build. And we were the first person to stay there. Apparently, from what we understand, that this politician has built it and dedicated it to Bar One. Naive me now, I said, um, where can I wash where's the laundry? Boy, the girls in the hostel fell down laughing. Did they laugh at me? Said, what laundry? What laundry? I said, yeah, where can I wash my clothes? Oh, this is not the UK. And then you could see the drain in my face. I'm thinking, how am I going to wash my clothes? And she said, oh, don't worry. There are people you can pay to wash your clothes. And I said, oh, okay. So that was the first. I completely forgot that it's not what I get. There's no washing machine everywhere
Hmm.
unless in your home. And then everywhere I go, the restaurants would tell me, can you eat pepper? There's too much pepper in this. So I don't know what, yeah, I don't know what it is about me that they thought I couldn't eat pepper. Or you, Anto, did you remember the guy that sells that does the chicken in Mami Market,
Yes.
where we normally go get your roasted chicken?
Uh-huh.
One day I laughed so much. I went there. He knows I like it very, very soft, boneless. And one time I
Hmm.
wanted to try a different part. He said to me, "You go fit eat them. You get it." That was so hilarious. I laughed so much. I told my sister by this, we were always laughing. So, what was your own funny story when you first arrived? Before we
uh,
get into,
well, there were so many, but they were more frustrating than funny, to be
oh,
honest.
what was it?
So the first one was trying to register, and I was used to just registering everything on your laptop, and you know, no hassles. But then, oh, you have to go to this office. Then you get there, you do one thing, you get a piece of paper, then you have to walk like across the law school to get to the other office. And then from there, you get to this other office. I was sweating like a Christmas goat everywhere. I'm like, what is this?
I remember
You know?
that. I remember that.
So that was my first frustration. Like, come, why can't we just do this online and just. But anyway, it's what it is. So, um,
But today, we don't
it
want to
was an
scare
experience.
people.
Lots of
Yeah,
an
we don't want
experience.
to tell people only the bad stories. I know it's been fun
Yes.
for you. Like I said, Anthony has been a reverend father since the last 25 years, isn't it?
24. It's going to be 25 next year.
Wow, and he's already invited me, and I'm going to put it out there now. I said to you I'll come to Imo, but I'm not. I think it's New York I will come to. I hope you're not
Oh,
upset about that.
no, no. I have three events.
And
So
yeah,
anybody can come to any of the three, one in Abuja, one in New York, and one in my village in Imo.
I would have loved to come to the one in Imo just to see, but
Yeah, of
we
course.
will see.
29th December 2026.
I
It will be
would,
great.
yeah, he'll be celebrating 25 years, everyone. But we're here today to talk about what inspired you, what made you say, I want to move back to Nigeria.
Okay, well, thank you, first of all, Didi, for inviting me to this podcast. Um, I wasn't sure if I wanted to do this, but I figured, I mean, what are friends for? I mean, if it's going to achieve the aim of your launching the podcast, why not? Yes, and of course, I always like sharing my story in the hope that I can inspire, some young people with my story. So, what inspired me to move back to Nigeria? Well, I have to tell you that from the beginning, when I left for the United States, I never planned to stay there.
Right.
I went there with a mission to get that requisite education and return to give back to Nigeria. And of course, when I got there, I met friends who told me, well, just wait, give yourself 2 years, you will change your mind. And I was so sure I wasn't going to change my mind. I was so sure of that, you know. So America offered me a lot, even beyond my expectations. And yet that didn't make me change my mind, It took me a while because I was self-sponsored. And so I had to work as a priest, and get remuneration and then pay tuition and save up money. I went to England, for the law thing, and then came back to America, did the master's and the PhD program, and then came back when it was time. So I think the inspiration to come back was already there before I left, and I'm glad I did not change my mind.
Well, that is very, very good. First of all, there's something you said earlier. You called me Didi because I kept telling people that the podcast came from my name, people calling me my short version of people who love me and like me. And so there you go. You can hear him call me Didi. That's where the D Unleashed came from, just to clarify that for
Yes.
everyone.
D is short for Dominica.
Yeah. So I've been telling them that Didi is short form of my name. So
Yeah.
they've just heard you call me Didi, just to let the viewers know. So, um, because were you a lecturer? Did you lecture in America at all before? Because I
No,
wanted to
no,
see.
I did strictly pastoral ministry in the parish.
Right.
I did not teach, but I knew I was going to teach. So I did a master's program in education, which qualifies me as a professional teacher. And of course, ministering in a parish setting is teaching in itself, even though in a different kind of setting.
Mm.
But I always um, had it in mind that it's one and the same. Just change the stage, and it's the same thing. One is on the altar and one is in the classroom. Also, because I knew I wanted to teach. By the way, I taught secondary school before I left to go to America to study. I
Mm.
taught secondary
I
school
did not
for a
know
couple
that.
of years.
Mm.
Yes, yeah, I was a chaplain and a teacher in a secondary school in Asaba, and that was really the ministry that confirmed to me that I'm called to the teaching ministry, even as a priest.
Right.
I've always felt that call, and I have to say that my father um, and mother were teachers. My father was a principal. My mother was a headmistress. My mother taught me in primary one, primary three, primary five. You
Wow.
know, yes, and then rose to become a school inspector before she retired. So I come from a family of teachers. My father and mother, like I said, are teachers, and then my aunts were teachers and what have you. So it's always been there, which was what inspired me to pursue, first of all, in arrival in America, the master's in education, and then of course I watched my teachers, especially at that university level. I watched my teachers. I learned from the best of my teachers because I knew I wanted to do what they were doing. I wanted to replicate whatever they were doing with me, with us in the class in America, back in Nigeria. So, whereas I didn't have any first-hand practical classroom, university level classroom teaching experience, but I learned a lot. just by being a student and watching the best of teachers who taught me.
And have you, that experience that you say you wanted to instill in the Nigerian setting, how is that working? Is that, have you seen anything out of it? Has it imparted anywhere? First of all,
Yeah,
tell the people, let us tell the people where you lecture at the moment and how that came about, because that is a very interesting story. I'm going to let him tell you the story. I don't want to tell the story. Please, Anthony, do.
yeah.
How you came
Well, thank
about,
you.
where you lecture
Thank you,
now,
Phoebe.
what the groundwork you
So,
did.
yeah, so as soon as I rounded off my doctoral program in 2017, I 1 week after my doctoral defense, I left the US because that was my target. Once I felt like I have hit the peak of my, study time abroad, it was time to go home. So I left the United States exactly 1 week after I defended my PhD. So, and then came back to Nigeria, straight to Nigerian law school, and that's where I met you. And then that was a year and change program. Then got called to bar on the 28th of
It's same year,
November
November. Yeah.
2018. Yes, so we just celebrated our seventh anniversary, seventh calendar year. But
Oh my God,
that
this been 7 years already.
yes, yes, of being called to bar. And then, of course, in the legal world, it's counted as 8 years at the bar,
Oh God.
and that, yes. So, in general, we've known each other for 8 years from that time. And then, soon after that, I was invited by the Veritas University, which is the Catholic University of Nigeria, here in Abuja, to come and help set up the um, faculty of law because there was no law faculty there. It's a young university, still young, and so it was younger even then, and there were lots of prospects for growth, especially looking into wading into the professional courses. So I was very delighted to. I remember walking into the Vice Chancellor's office on that fateful day in January of 2019. That's like few weeks after being called to bar. And he said, "Oh," as soon as I was introduced to him, he said, "Oh, Father, can you come help us start the law faculty? We've been looking for someone to help us do it." And I said, "That's why I'm here." Because I already also had, this weird intuition that I was going to be instrumental to founding the law faculty in that university because it's our own Catholic university. I'm a Catholic priest. So, every time I saw that name, Veritas University, I had that weird intuition that I was going to be instrumental in founding the law faculty. So the day I walked into the Vice Chancellor's office in January 2019 and he said, "Can you come and help us?" It was like this, I don't want to say dream, but this weird intuition just giving birth to in that moment. So we had a long conversation. I told him what I could do and what I would do. And I told him I was going back to the United States to return because, of course, by that time the academic session was already underway. So, and I had to go back to America for some other engagements and then come back in October of 2019 when the academic year would be fresh. And of course, there were meetings before that time, so I was part of a big committee that was formed for the purpose of starting that law faculty. So I was part of that. But when it came down to it, it was just me on the staff, you know, doing all that. But of course, the vice chancellor was very instrumental. He had a lot of ideas. Some of them I helped to bring to birth. And then we had a very, very instrumental figure, the current Asagba of Asaba, Professor Epiphany Azinge, SAN. He's a big name in law in Nigeria. That time he wasn't the Asagba of Asaba. He just became Asaba just a little over a year ago. So, but by that time he was available. He just finished his tenure as the Director General of the Nigerian Institute of Advanced Legal Studies, DG Emeritus. So he had a lot of and many years of experience as a law professor. So and a lot of contacts. So I must tell you that his contacts and his ideas and thoughts made that work very, very, interesting, and of course, very fruitful in record time. The history of that faculty will never be complete without the role of Professor Epiphany Azinge. I was there like the groundsman, doing all the running around, putting all the nuts and bolts in place, but he was there as a big man, pushing all the buttons from above. You know how it works in Nigeria. If you don't know who knows who, nothing seems to work out. So he was just there. And he also put himself in as one of the lecturers, even at the stage of the what will I call it, the resource verifications done by the National Universities Commission and also the Council of Legal Education. He was always there as one of the professors for the prospective law faculty, and of course his influence and presence made all the difference in the world. Apart from the obvious fact that we had put in place, the facilities that were required for the kickoff, and then he taught there for 2 or 3 years before he became the Asagba of Asaba. We miss him. We miss him. So I became a head of department right at the inception. Of course, we hired lecturers. Among the lecturers that we hired at the time is a woman who is the dean currently. She was one of the first lecturers, but she was already an associate professor. I wasn't. So she rightfully had to take up the mantle of the leadership of the faculty. So I work as a head of department while she's the dean. So I take orders from her now. But be that as it may, um, that has been a very central aspect of my work in these years in Nigeria. I go to school almost every day, and I sit there. I see myself somewhat as a babysitter. Yes, of course, under the direction of the dean, but I put myself out there for those children, and I've come to grow to love what I do by loving the children. And I love to teach them. I know I have a lot to offer them, and they're like sponges. They're willing to soak in whatever knowledge you drop on them. So that makes it a very wonderful experience for me. So far so good, I would like to say.
Oh, that was very, very insightful. Just going back to what you said, it would appear you had a lot of support um, by the Catholic Church or the
Yes.
organization. I don't know whether to refer to
Yeah,
them
the
as that.
university,
And
the vice chancellor, and all of that.
exactly, because there's a lot of people who might be wanting to come and do something in Nigeria, but
Yes.
um, how if they don't have the backing you have, because that's a very good backing, and to
Yeah.
make sure it come to fruition, whatever you had an idea and somebody supported that. For someone who is not in the position like you are, or with the Catholic or other support, what would be your advice? Would you say they should still come to Nigeria to give in to support the system without a lot
Oh,
of backing?
well, the truth is that you have to have that drive inside of you
Oh,
for you
by the
to be
way,
able
it's
to.
a very sorry, I'm not cutting you off.
Yes.
Very good work you have done. Very, very well done.
Thank
Because
you.
that's why I wanted
Thank
you to
you.
tell the story about how the law faculty came at Veritas University, because
Yes.
to pull
Yes.
that off, even though I've said earlier that you had a lot of backing, but
Yes.
just the idea that it was inspired and then you stuck to it, it's very,
Yes.
very
Yeah. Follow through.
you've done well.
Yes.
So yeah, just answered.
And yeah,
Let you
we,
finish what you.
just before I answer, to say we had a lot of firsts. It took us just about a year and a half
Mm,
from renovating the classroom, the block, the building that was given to us, by the university to start on a temporary basis. It took us about a year and a half to get all the renovations done, all the equipping of the classrooms, and computers and library. It was a lot of work. I tell you, it was. Now sitting back and thinking, I asked myself, how did you do this? It was a lot of work on my part, on the part of every other person, both above me and below, who were part of this. It was a lot of work. And then our first set is graduating next year,
well
and
done.
very, very excited. I call them my first fruits, and I love those kids to death. So I'm just curious to see what they're going to become. So taking it back, you see, all of this comes from that passion. You have to have it. Nigeria is a very difficult terrain, but guess what? We're from here.
Hence my question I was asking earlier,
We are.
why someone who don't have the backing and financial support like you
Yeah.
did, even though the work you done is, would you still advise them to
Why not?
come
Why not?
and why would you say?
Let me tell you this. Let me tell you this. When I was about to leave the United States to come back, I had made a lot of friends, parishioners and friends. The question, especially from the American ones, was, what are you going back to? I said, there's nothing in Nigeria. So it's not what are you going back for? It's what are you going back to? Meaning there's nothing there. Why are you going? You know what I used to answer them? I would say, well, America is beautiful, but somebody built it. Somebody built it.
Good answer.
I want to go and contribute in building Nigeria.
No,
So people have to come back home and help build this nation. If we don't, if people don't do what I'm doing or what we are doing, then Nigeria is going to remain that abandoned nation with nothing. Nothing. It's difficult, but guess what? America is beautiful. Somebody built it, and I don't imagine it was an easy task at that time. Generations after are enjoying the United States today, or even the United Kingdom where you are. So somebody has to put in the work, and it has fallen on our generation to put in the work. So I would never discourage anybody who wants to come home because there's a lot of work to be done. Difficult though it may be, but my thing is I want to try my bit before I give up. Oh, it's so difficult. I know. I have my days. I complain. I have my days. I get frustrated.
we
I
do
get
talk
angry.
about it. Yeah, we do
Yes.
have
But you
discussion.
know, but you know, I want to be sure I have tried my bit. I have tried my fair best before I give up.
Well,
So, yes, I will encourage anybody to come. Of course, I was lucky to come into a system that was already running. So it depends on what you want to do. If you want to build a company, of course, you have to come with your ideas and with your money. If you want to come and teach, are you coming to start a new school? Which, by the grace of God, I intend to do.
oh,
If I find the resources, it's part of what I want to do here. I want to start a school.
oh,
It hasn't happened yet, but I believe it's going to happen. So I will never discourage anybody.
knowing you, I know
Just come
you will pull it off. The school.
by God's grace. I believe it's going to happen. I believe it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time and an opportunity. So I will encourage anybody. But
Despite
when you come,
despite despite the insecurities, despite what is going on now,
absolutely, the
what
insecurity is just another layer of the discouraging factors.
right?
But I also believe it's not going to be forever. If the insecurity becomes a permanent feature that is going to be forever, then the country is gone. We will have no country. We will have no country because it's bad enough. It's bad enough. It's discouraging to some of us, who know that we have options. We can just go back to America and sit back down and keep doing whatever you were doing. But even if the insecurity gets more severe, I want to convince myself that I have done my best before I give up. I don't want to give up before I try.
That is very, very wow. I wish we all because even when you were doing that, I was very, very worried.
Yes.
I
You've
was
always been worried about.
I was very worried. Are you sure you're going to do this? Are you sure you because not just staying back or a lot of challenges, the school system, like you said earlier, how frustrated it was, even though it was very fun, Nigerian law school, but there was a lot
Yes.
of things that were not in place that would really, really drive you nuts. And I
It
always
was
tell,
a,
yeah, I always tell you, are you going to be able to deal with different, because you have come from a place where the social life is different, a way of life is different, and you have managed to actually keep going despite the corruption, or people not understanding you? How do you get them to hear you to make your case for them to actually listen? Because that must be what is happening at the uni. How do you get them coming from? I'm not talking about the students. I'm talking about your peers.
Yes. Well, I always believed that when I come back here and begin to operate, begin to do my work, people would naturally get to see that you have something to offer. And they will respect you, they will allow you. Because if you have something to offer, I want to consider that as positive. And so if I'm a force for good, that was my thinking. If I'm a force for good, then everything should flow. But I came here to discover that Nigeria is a different place.
Totally.
Sometimes you get the impression that people don't like that positive vibe. For whatever reason, I'm not going to think for anybody. But I'm just sharing my experience as surface level as this podcast would allow.
Yeah.
That I found out sometimes in the hard way that it's not like that. But what did I do? Give up? No. Get angry? Sometimes. But I decided I am going to be consistent. Consistency. I will do what I know how to do in the best possible way that I know how to do it. And what is happening is that some, in fact, most people recognize the quality of what you're bringing. They're either encouraging you or they're indifferent. Sometimes you get the negative attacks, but I remain consistent. I keep going. Because at the end of the day, I'm a priest, I'm working in a Catholic university. So in my mind, this is my way of exercising my priestly ministry. And whether you're exercising it in the parish or in the school or in the prison or wherever, you are going to have your challenges. So I'm not walking away from nobody. We die here.
That's so Nigerian. You say we die here.
Yes.
That's so
Not
Nigerian.
walking away from nobody. I
That's
walk away if I decide that I have given enough or there are good reasons to walk away. But for people, I'm not walking away because that would be disappointing the man who called me, Jesus himself.
that's I
And
was
the call that he gave to us did not promise us a bed of roses. And he says, even the Gospel of John, in the world you will have difficulties, but do not be afraid because I have conquered the world. Do I get angry sometimes, especially when I perceive that I am being unfairly treated and unfairly taunted by people, whether for whatever reason? Yes, because I'm human. Do I want to give up? Maybe 10% of the time, which is minute. But consistency is the word. I want to keep going. I want to keep giving. I want to see where this journey takes me. I'm glad I have the United States portion of it open as an option, but I want to keep it as a last resort. As a last resort.
that's
So,
good. Because you've mentioned about your faith now because Nigeria is very known to. I don't know. I find it difficult to say whether I don't want to give them a name of saying that Nigerians are just church goers, but there are a
yes.
lot of churches, a lot of religious activities going on.
Mhm.
How do you separate that from your teaching? Or
I don't.
does it overlap? Does it because the teaching
I don't
aspect
separate it.
is okay? How
Yeah.
if you do, does it mean that a lot of the students in Veritas University are they all Christians? Then do you see what I mean by
No.
that?
We have a good number of Muslims.
So if you
Not an overwhelming number. We have a considerable number
right,
of Muslims, you know.
so if you don't separate your faith from teaching, how would they see that? Do you see my point?
First of all, I can't separate it
Right.
because I see my teaching job as one avenue of exercising my priestly ministry. So I can't separate it. Because for me, the classroom is an extension of the altar, is an extension of the pulpit. Only that the curriculum is different.
Right. Okay.
Yes. Then,
Got
how will my students, well, when I'm teaching them property law, I'm teaching them property law, not religion. But
Right.
I'm teaching them property law as a priest teaching property law. I'm not teaching them property law as Dominica, who is a lay woman in the religious order, teaching them property law. Or maybe my brother, who is not a priest, teaching them, or maybe the next lecturer. I teach them property law. I teach them constitutional law. I teach them whatever. I teach them as a priest. So I stand there as a witness. I stand there as an apostle. I stand there as a disciple. And I stand there as an ambassador of that university, which is ours by virtue of being the Catholic University of Nigeria. And I am not abashed about this, and I tell even colleagues about it, that look, this is our university. And so I'm not just here as a lecturer, I'm here as a member. I have a stake in it. So that affects my zeal positively, that affects my posture, because come on, you can't destroy a house that you live in. You can't. Rather, what do? You renovate it, you embellish it, you make it nicer. That's the summary of my work over there. Now, but I understand where you were going with the question. Um, 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 in a simplistic way, if your faith gets infused into the curriculum or whatever,
Yeah.
how do the other people see it? Well, the thing is, I always tell even the management of the university
Yeah.
that you shouldn't be too worried about what the non-Catholics in our university would think about our ways and method in that university. Why? You are a lawyer. You know that there is something called voluntary assumption of risk. You know that this is a Catholic university. You should expect that those Catholic elements, for instance, our students must attend mass at least once a week.
Whether
It's
they
not
are
optional.
Muslim, whether they are Muslim or not.
It does not matter what church you go to. This is Catholic University, and mass is what we do. And when you start such a university, such a school, you are bringing education in the Catholic way. So if you do not want Catholic way education, don't come. So if you come as a lawyer, I tell them you have voluntarily signed up to whatever risk in quotes, including being taught Catholic things that you may not want to learn on your own, being made to attend Catholic mass that you may not want to attend on a good day. After all, if you didn't like that, there is Bays right around the corner. There's Uni Abuja right around the corner. There's Nile right around the corner. Go there. So if you're here, as the old saying goes, when in Rome, you do what? You do as the Romans.
Well, I think you've answered my next question in within this one. You've already told us what you teach. So is it property law you teach and
I
constitutional?
teach property law. I currently, I teach property law, and I teach law and the church, which is a new subject that we came up with in the faculty. But I have to develop the curriculum. This is my third year of teaching it now, and is the first and the only one in the country. There's no other university that teaches that. And of course, that's an example of how our Catholicism affects even the curriculum. So now, law and the church teaches these young lawyers the influence of the Christian faith and the influence of the Catholic faith from the beginning. And we zero down into specific ways that the church has affected legal practice even today, the court systems, even legislation till today. That's in a nutshell the content of that course.
Yeah,
And I teach that.
that is quite. Anyway, we have a different. I'm not going to talk about UK system. Let me leave that. I think I'm sure
Yes.
you know it's much like American system. So I will leave. We are talking about context of having. Now that you've introduced, that people are doing a new course, church and the what?
Law and the church.
Law and the church. A
Yes.
lot of first. Do you think? I'm trying to see if I get this across to you. There's a lot of us or younger ones who do not know the history of Nigeria. And I give you an example.
Yes.
When we were in Bar 1, a lot of people did not know that Buhari used to be a military head.
Yes.
One girl literally gasped. She didn't understand how did Buhari then come to be a civilian
A civilian
president.
president.
So a lot of talks are that they are keeping the civil war or even out of the curriculum, don't want to be taught. And well, thank God for internet now that a lot of us can go to internet and do search and all of that. A lot of we think is something that should be taught in schools, at least because if you know your history, you're able to deal with the future to correct what
Yes.
mistake.
Yes.
Is that something people would think about at some point?
Well, it's unfortunate that Nigeria is a very, what will I say, um, is a very one kind of country where um, politics plays into everything. The removal of history, let me say, because Nigeria is so politically charged now that everything is out in the open.
Yeah.
The powers that be, the same people who have kept Nigeria down, especially the northern oligarchy,
Right.
wanted history out of the curriculum so that nobody gets to understand the real history of Nigeria, who we are, so that they can make a lot of claims and get away with it. Claims including, oh, the country belongs to us. It was given to us by our father. This is our country. We own it. And if you don't know the history of Nigeria, you can say yes to that very quickly. But thanks to God for President Tinubu, who came in and reinstated history as part of the curriculum. So history is back in the books. And as a university, we study.
Does it cover the main thing, the history? Have you seen the curriculum, what it covers, the history? It's just
No.
saying.
But of course, it had a curriculum before. It had a nice curriculum before it was eliminated. So I think they will simply just go back to what it was before. I'm
Right.
sorry, I'm trying to plug my laptop. I didn't know I was gonna. Yeah, okay, so that
That's
it
okay.
doesn't die on
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think they just went back to whatever because there was established curriculum earlier on, before Buhari's government very surreptitiously and suspiciously, eliminated that. But of course, if you don't know where you're coming from, you will never know where you're going. So a lot of right-thinking people decided that it needs to be reinstated. And like I was going to say earlier, even in my university, there's a whole department of history and international relations.
Oh, that's wow. That's
Yes.
is
Yeah.
that new or has it always been there?
No, it's always been it's also mostly been part of the university. Yeah,
Right.
it's people like law and medicine, pharmacy and nursing and all of that, med lab. Those are the newcomers. But the other social sciences have always been they were the mainstay of the university before the sciences started coming in.
And
Yeah.
obviously, I know you are still a priest at the Catholic Church. Tell the readers that you're combining both. He's not just lecturing and forgotten doing his. He goes to church and do your masses, don't you, Anthony?
Yes, absolutely.
He does.
Absolutely. In fact, I partly live in a parish with a friend of mine who runs a big parish here in Asokoro. So I spend a lot of time here at Church of the Assumption in Asokoro, in the middle of Abuja, because I'm a priest first.
But
So
where
I
is
do.
Your own church, where you go do
No,
mass?
no, I don't have a church. I introduce myself every time as a priest without parish, barrister without chamber.
Right. Okay.
So I call myself. So, but and that's because my primary assignment is Veritas University Faculty of Law.
Right. That's where you're
Yes,
for.
and for the records, I am not interested in any official position in the parish. No, I want to rather have an official position in the school.
Right.
That's my whatever. But of course, I tell anybody that cares to listen, I'm a priest first before any other thing. So I'm happy that a friend finds me very useful here, and I have the biggest room. In fact, I'm there right now as I'm talking to you. I have the biggest room in the parish, So and I stay here and I help out in the parish, go to school most times from here and back. So I don't feel like I'm losing anything. In fact, to be honest, I feel like I'm living the best of both worlds, you know, so I can do my work as a teacher and do my work, if you like, full time as a priest, you know, even though just on a helping level, um, which is great. And for your information, I know you didn't ask me that. That's what I do every summer and Christmas, and anytime I go to America. You know, I go to America every summer. I go back to the parish. I have a
Yeah, you
room,
do
the
that.
parish
Yeah,
in New
you do
York.
go
I've
there.
lived there for the past 12 years with them. You know, that same parish. So on the 16th, um, 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 once my school gets off, of course, I'm taking off. I go there. I'm going to do parish ministry, you know, back in New York, and
Good.
that nourishes my my teaching ministry, because for me that's the foundation. I draw strength from the priestly ministry, and then I bring that, you know, like I say, from the altar to the altar of the classroom, and
As
that's very important to me, you know.
aside from that, I know you, Anthony, you do a lot of charity work. You
Yes,
support a lot of people who are in need. Can you tell people, please, the kind of work I know, but I want you to tell them because I know the support you were giving those who couldn't pay school fees, who couldn't do that. You do a lot in
yes,
addition
yeah.
to, and you,
Well, it's part and parcel of our ministry as priests, you know. You cannot be a priest without considering charity. Is a very essential aspect of our, and of course, the scripture says that charity covers a multitude of iniquity, you know. So, and people naturally expect you as a priest to be charitable to them, so they will come. And if you have the means, why not? So I know I am blessed to have the United States component as part of my life, and you know when I go there, I get some money. There's no doubt. You know, from parishioners, you know, who love your ministry, and who have grown to love you over the years. So, and then I can't possibly exhaust all I'm giving. And to be honest, a huge percentage of what I get goes back to charity, you know, to kids that I help out, you know, sponsoring school, to, you know, colleagues who may be in need, you know, and, of course, right now, my students in Veritas, you know, of course, they are my primary concern now. And some of them, you know, as beautiful as they are, as you know, you think that all is well, you know, behind that beauty is some need every now and then, you know, behind that innocent face and innocent faces that they exude is a lot of need. And God has positioned me in such a way that they talk to me. So I've got to know them. And once I come to understand that area of need, I'm always very happy to help them out as much as I can. I can't do everything, you know, um, but whatever I can do for my students, whom I call my kids, I do for them. And even here in the parish where I live, you know, every now and then people walk up to you and you know, tell you their needs and what have you. And if I can help them, why not? You know, so it's important to me that I um, keep the access to the United States, because if I don't, I possibly won't have anything to help anybody.
well, that's very, very good work. You spoke about that the first set of the law faculty is graduating next year, I believe you said. Is it this year?
Yes, absolutely.
Now, we know that education is supposed to shape a nation, help the young, but a society like Nigeria, where we know securing a job, it's very, I don't even know how to put it. You and I know
It's
what
a
the situation,
challenge. Yes.
very challenging situation is. What do you tell this young one that are graduating and there is no job? What,
To be honest with you,
how
I
prepared?
go ahead, finish up. I'm
Yes,
sorry.
no, no, because I mean, they're going to get this degree, and you and I know the challenges of job. And of course, it's good that you have the education in case something comes up. But the reality is, there's a lot of challenges. How do you, when they come to you with that, do they come to you with questions or employment? Where do we go from there? What is in place? Where my question is, how is that education going to help them if it's not going to secure a job?
Well, thank you. That's a very poignant question. Um, we are aware, especially as a university, of this challenge. So the university has started what they call school to work program. And what does that school to work program do? It prepares them outside of whatever degrees they are getting. It prepares them with skills that can help them land jobs after school. And I can tell you that that has been going really well. For those, there are a lot of kids there, and I promise you, not everybody will take advantage of such opportunities, as is usual with kids. Some will care less, but the ones who have taken advantage of those walk to school programs offered by Veritas University, they have their testimonies already, you know. And that's what we tell our kids. Please, apart from your degree, pick up a skill, learn something, learn something that's going to benefit you in the future, because the jungle is quite rough out there. I call it the jungle of the job market. It's rough. Then, on our part in the Faculty of Law, we started from the onset the summer internship programs. So we send our kids to law firms where of their choice, where they can go and learn how to be lawyers. So by the time they are graduating, they are armed with practical lawyering experiences that they should have picked up from those internship experiences. And our children love it. They love it. They look forward to it. And of course, that already gives some inspiration. And if you like, some advantage, because by the time they're finishing, they already have contacts, they already have ideas as to what they want to do as lawyers. So these are the little things we are doing on our part. And of course, I know many of them are looking for opportunities even now to go abroad. So a lot of them, I tell them, I say, I hate the fact that I have to think that I'm training you to Japa at the end, you know. But of course, many of them are going to Japa. So there is no one size fits all. And I am staying optimistic for them that at the end of their studies, something will open up one way or another. Something should open up, especially if you have gone through the rigor of acquiring legal education. You should be marketable anywhere. You know that in the UK, a good percentage of those who study law don't practice law. In fact, the last time I checked, it was about 24% only of those who study law actually practice law. But why do the rest of the 86% still want law? Because employers in the UK generally prefer lawyers, because they know you have clarity of thought, and if you could go through law school, then you can handle any kind of challenge in the job market. So perhaps our children can also benefit from that, in the sense that if they have been able to acquire legal education, they should be able to fit into any job out there, whether it's legal or otherwise.
Sorry, he said Japa a few minutes ago, just to clarify, because I know my listeners are not mainly Nigerians. He means relocating, migrating out of Nigeria.
Migrating out
Yeah,
of the country.
out of the country. That's what Japa
Japa is
means.
a Yoruba word to meaning to run. So people think the country is so harsh, so they want to run. I'm running away from the country. So Japa, the Japa syndrome, as they call it here.
I'm trying to make sure I get all the questions before, yeah, before,
Yeah.
because we're going to finish soon, and I make sure. So let's just put it on a lighter note, because I know talking about Nigerians and the challenges can be quite a bit, yeah, it's disheartening what is going on in Nigeria. But like you say, a lot of us believe in Nigeria like you do. A lot of people want to come back. And I know the reason why I am so happy you came to this show, at least to let people know that no matter what you want to do, there's something you can pour into Nigeria, and you are
Yes.
doing it exceptionally. Now, back to what advice, because you were very prepared, Anthony. I don't mean like, preparing to come back to Nigeria to relocate in terms of, and I mean like in terms of movement, in terms of housing, in terms of every other thing, because you were very prepared. I want you to give Nigerians how to be prepared, so that you are not for example, me, I was doing Uber, or sometimes you give me a ride where I need to go when you are available, or some other friends, but I was Ubering all the time. So, but you were practically prepared. Please tell those who would like to relocate how to get prepared. How did you do it? And don't mind, I know
Well,
what to say. You prepared, you got your cars. He did, but I let him tell you, he got his car, he's got accommodations, he was Anthony, you were prepared. So please tell
yes,
people.
I will,
And
because that's
how long it took you to prepare for that, to be sure that at least Nigeria is livable for you. Because it's livable.
well. Thank you, Didi, again. You know, like I said in the beginning, if you remember, when I moved to the United States, I knew in my heart of hearts it wasn't going to be a permanent move. I mean, you can look at me now and say, "Are you sure of that?" Because I spent quite a lot of my non-school time in the United States. So you might say, "Are you really back?" But it's also one of my points of gratitude that I think I'm living the best of both worlds, if you ask. But my primary assignment is in Nigeria. I knew that's what I wanted. So from the very beginning, on arrival from the United States, I was already preparing to go back. It took me 12 years, but I made it back.
Yes, I want you to
So
just tell.
everything I
Yeah.
did was preparation.
I
The
want you to
degrees I
tell.
picked up,
Sorry, not cutting you off. I
right?
just want you to tell a lot of people who want to how you got things over to Nigeria that was, cargoing things
Okay. You
like
want
that.
the
That's
nuts and bolts of it?
yeah, the
Yes, of course.
preparedness. They
I didn't
want to
ship
know
my stuff once.
how
For the
long did it
12 years I
take
was
you?
there,
Yeah,
anything I saw
yeah,
that would be useful in Nigeria. It could be even a car spanner or like electrical equipment.
yeah,
Anything I saw,
yeah.
and I had the opportunity. I sent it back to Nigeria. But of course, at the end of my stay, of course, I had to ship my cars and then um, 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 my heavy duty books and all of that in a container. That's very easily done in America. Once you have an agent who is Nigerian, they know how to do that for you. Load it up and then ship it. It's going to cost you money, but I was ready for all of that. So that wasn't even the big part for me because that was like a natural part of going back. The big part was the mental preparation. Of course, having left the country for that long, I was not prepared for what I saw. The country that I left 12 years prior had changed so radically. You know, I still carried the same goodwill and liberalism of Nigeria. Everybody was welcome to your house and all of that. But I had to learn the hard way that Nigeria had changed. That next guy that you bring into your house could be the guy who will pose insecurity to you. It took me a while to learn that and to unlearn how to be that open for my own safety. So those are the real challenges. Bringing stuff over it just costs you a little money and a little inconvenience to get the things to the wharf and bring it back. Of course, like you said, I needed a car. And of course my parishioners back in the States bought me a car, and then when I was leaving, another guy gave me another car. So I brought back the two cars, as it were, on my way back. And then, of course, I bought a lot of books because I knew I was coming to teach. So I needed books and of personal belongings of all sorts that I wanted. Those ones came back. And of course, little money. So I was able to put up, a little accommodation near the university for myself where I ended up, teaching. I lived there. And of course, the usual happened. I got attacked in that place, so I had to run away from that house.
I
Long
know.
story short,
We don't want to talk about. I
you
know
know,
he did. Security is
yeah.
very.
So,
He did.
but
He
it's
got.
part
He
of
got.
our challenge in Nigeria.
Yeah,
So
he
I got
got
attacked there.
attacked. Yeah,
Luckily,
Anthony got attacked.
luckily I escaped. But that didn't even deter me.
Yeah.
In fact, that house where I was attacked is directly opposite the university where I teach right now.
All
You
right.
know,
So
so
our time.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes.
Let me
Thank you
just
very much.
don't cut you off because I've kept you too long on this too. I know your parents must be very proud because I know how being a Reverend Father is to us Igbo and the parents.
Yes.
And I hope they didn't fight in your village before you became a Reverend Father, not like the Nollywood. So, but thank you. Welcome to the show. Thank you for
Thank
coming
you.
and sharing your experience. It's been very exciting.
Thank
Okay.
you. Thank
For-
you very much. God bless.
yeah, yeah.
Thank you. Good luck. Good
Thank
luck in
you.
your.
Next time you will be on the studio. You will be here.
All right. Sure. Sure. Sure.
Thank you.